Hello everybody, welcome to Rewrite Your Reality with Reese. I am your host, and in today's video, identity, thought, reality, and experiencing. Because there were a few questions from some subscribers asking me various things about their desired dream life. And I left the questions mostly whole, so you can read through it and see, well, how does this relate to me and what I want? How do these questions go back to that knowing that I am everything? Because they do quite expand and hit quite a few things that we usually, kind of think again and again and again. It's like, oh, there's this thought again. Like this old story keeps looping. Even though I know that reality is new in every instant. Look at that. Why does the old story keep looping even though I know that reality is new in every instant? If you know reality is new in every instant, why do you then call that the old story? If you know it's new. But what does that mean? What does it's new mean? It's not new as in it came into creation. It's new as in you became newly aware of this now moment. It must have already existed. And if everything already existed, it all exists at the same time. God isn't writing it out as we are experiencing it. Creation is finished. Creation is done. There's no time period on time periods. The year 1000, the year 3000, they aren't aging differently. They are timeless. They are timeless moments and states in experiencing. The experience itself has the timeless expression, the time as an expression, but the experience itself is timeless. There's no time to the experience itself, while the experience of time is there. So if I know my reality is new in every instant, why on earth would you keep calling a story that you were previously aware of old? How is it old? It can't be old. It's old because you think it's the same one perpetuating, but it's not. It's brand new because it's part of your now ongoing experiencing of life. And you are saying my now ongoing experiencing of life is I know reality is new and I'm in this old story. That's a new thing. That is a new thing as a whole. Because previously you didn't have an old story because you didn't have a new understanding of reality. You just had your story. So it wasn't old. It was just what it is now. Now it's what it is now, but you're calling it old and new. If thoughts are manifestations and reveal the state I'm in, why do I keep experiencing the same self-defeating thoughts about the 3D? Look at it again. If thoughts are manifestations and reveal the state I'm in, they don't reveal the state you're in. You had a thought and then you referred to a state and you declared, I am in this state because I felt that way. Because you felt bad, presumably, I'm in a bad state. They don't reveal anything. Nothing in your awareness can give you information that is true to the state that you are in. You can feel bad. You can feel upset. You can feel constrained. You can feel constricted. You can feel as if you're breaking down. But if you understand and know that even in the midst of everything I'm feeling, I know I am the creator. I'm just having an experience right now. And yes, it is an experience of these circumstances, and I am completely and utterly surrounded by them in my 3D physically focused experiencing of reality. I can't do anything about it. I understand they are temporary and always changing. That doesn't make this moment feel any better. I'm just knowing of what my truth now is. And I am who I say I am. Because I made a choice. So why do I keep experiencing the same self-defeating thoughts about the 3D? Because you are attributing what's happening in your 3D physical reality as more real then something else. You want, right now, your 3D physical reality, regardless of what it looks like, to only bring about thoughts that you like. But thoughts are indifferent to what's happening. They're just happening. They're not doing anything. You may not like them, you may like them, but how does that mean anything? You can have the most wonderful thoughts about your three-dimensional, physically focused reality, even if the most unpreferred things are happening. That doesn't actually mean anything either. Both mean nothing. Good thoughts or bad thoughts judged about a ever-changing 3D physically focused reality don't do anything. How can they? Nothing does anything. Nothing does anything. The only doing is your conscious choosing of who you are. That's literally it. I know it's the character, I don't identify with it, but the ego keeps reacting. See, we create this alternative thing, ego, that identifies with that, and I feel bad. But if it actually was your ego feeling bad about it, why would you feel bad? So you and your ego and your thoughts and your experiences and your character are all one. Because if there really was an ego that felt bad about your thoughts, you wouldn't feel bad about your thoughts, but you do feel bad about your thoughts, so they can't actually be an ego, it's just you. You are reality. You are experiencing the idea of I feel bad about my thoughts, therefore it's my ego. We call what we don't like ego. Your ego is nothing. It's not a thing. It's the thought processing point of experience. That's it. It's where experience happens in this physically focused, localized point. If you don't have an ego, you wouldn't even want to be the thing that you want to be because you wouldn't even feel the joy about being it. That's how you feel it. The ego is the point of now. The point of interacting with yourself. The point of experiencing the interactions of yourself. I feel invisible among hundreds of DJs. That's not your ego, that's you. You see how we create separation so we can compartmentalize what we want and what we don't want. It's all just you. I feel invisible among hundreds of DJs because you are looking at the three-dimensional, physically focused circumstances of people who don't know you and think that you are invisible because they can't see you. But you are the one seeing as reality. So you're not seeing yourself as you would like to be, however that might be. And with no interaction, I react like the person I don't want to be. Okay, then you focused on how you react and not wanting to react that way, instead of imagining and assuming and choosing how you would prefer all of the interactions would be. You're saying that because I had this thought, I'm going to go down this rabbit hole and suffer from it as it, instead of experiencing how I would like to be. I keep going down this rabbit hole of mediocre, meaningless, intrusive, irrelevant, and isolated. Why? No one's making you do that. And you can go through it fully, experience it all fully, and say, okay, that was a story. I don't like it. No matter how many times I experience that story, it's not mine. It's a version of me, and there are infinite versions of that story. That's why it's never old. It's always a new one, a new version of it. Every day I stand in that fire of pride and hurt while knowing it's not me. You can know whatever, but if you keep standing in the pride and hurt while knowing it's not you, that's your reality. I am standing in the pride of knowing that it's hurt, blah, 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 knowing it's not me. That's your entire reality. Why? Why are you imagining yourself being hurt, proclaiming you are not this? If you were not that, you would not be standing in any kind of thing being hurt. You would be experiencing whatever you're experiencing, hurt or otherwise, and experiencing what you decide to be standing in. They're just thoughts, projections, and perceptions that are no longer relevant to my identity, even if they hurt. But you're making them relevant by saying, I hurt so much, I know they're not me, but I hurt so much. You're going in a circle. I'm not telling you not to feel the hurt. I'm not telling you not to feel the pain. I'm not telling you not to do anything other. I'm telling you that you keep identifying with it so strongly that your strength in your identification of it is rejecting anything else other than what you are experiencing. So reject the idea that it has power over you and experience what you desire to experience. Experience only what you desire to experience. Yes, everyone feels it. Everyone feels those circumstances, those expressions of I am not. You are having a human experience. It is there. The same thoughts keep looping about this assembly of judges I've created in my mind. But if you know you're the one that's creating the assembly of judges you created in your mind, along with deep-seated isolation and loneliness and physical pain, why then do you keep on returning to that idea that there's something you must do about this idea? There's nothing you have to do about the idea. I know this is all irrelevant. It's clearly not irrelevant to you if that was half the email. Stop saying something is irrelevant to you when you're making it the most relevant thing in your life. You're making how irrelevant this is the most irrelevant thing. The most relevant thing. Stop making irrelevance relevant by making it relevant, by keep referring to it as irrelevant. No. You are feeling what you are feeling. I feel like absolute crap today. It's not more creative. It's an expression of how you're feeling instead of fighting it. I watch series, I play with my cats, I feel a bit of guilt and fear that I'm spending a little money that I have from my chair in a tiny room and I'll be forever stuck there because I can't change with it. Why do you feel guilt about spending the money on what you wanted to spend? God's not giving you money so you can build up the reality of anything. God's not doing anything. You are not experiencing what you desire to experiencing because you have made that which is irrelevant more relevant than what you are experiencing. That's why you feel the guilt. Yeah, sure, you bought something or other. I believe it was a record you wanted to buy. Beautiful, amazing, you had some fun, nice. It's the ego talking. The ego doesn't have a voice. The ego doesn't have thoughts. The ego doesn't have a destiny. The ego doesn't have desire. The ego doesn't have anything. The ego is the paint on a wall. You are the wall and you are the paint. I always come back to I am. You are I am. Where'd you go? Where'd you go when you left I am? And where did you go to I am? You are I am. I am is the name of God and the name of all that is in existence. You don't go anywhere. You don't come back. I know I'm fulfillment. Even if the current appearances feel like opposite. That's fine. Do you? Because you're making irrelevant very relevant. But I am exhausted, see? And I feel like I'm suppressing instead of living away. Why are you suppressing how crap you feel? I'm always bored even though I know boredom is an appearance. You spend most of the time giving voice to the appearances of irrelevancy than living in your desire. And I'm not saying don't feel what you are feeling. Sometimes you feel a lot, and I know that you feel a lot. I know that you are living in a small room. I know that you are feeling pain. I know that you are feeling the contrasting physical circumstances of your life, of your desires, of your dreams, of everything. I know that. You said it in the email. It's like, this is the shorter version of that. I understand that. I know all of this is not relevant. It's very relevant to you. It's relevant to you because it's happening. It's part of your experiencing. It's relevant because you keep trying to make it irrelevant. Make it irrelevant because it is irrelevant. Make it so irrelevant that you can feel all of it and not be concerned that it's going to continue. Make it irrelevant by embracing it fully as another experiencing of I am awareness. Make it irrelevant in embracing and surrendering to whatever the script is happening, whatever's happening in the script of your life, and go to that knowing that I am literally right now infinity. And as that infinity, this is who I am. I am exactly how I desire to be right now, and I am the substance of it. That's the only thing that's relevant. Anything else that happens, it's so irrelevant to me, I'm going to willingly experience it fully without trying to do anything about it. I am tired that half my journey is being witness to the unraveling of this character. Why? Tired of what? There's nothing to be tired about, you're just tired. Because you're tired because you're trying to sustain a new identity even though it's not about effort. It's just accepting an idea. Why is it so hard to sustain my new identity, even knowing it's not about effort? Because you keep trying to sustain your identity knowing it's not about effort. Look at the contradiction in what you are saying. If you know it's not about effort, then sustaining has to be an effortful process. And if you know it's not the effortful process, you can't sustain it. Because you haven't accepted the idea. You accepted the idea, but it comes with the condition of rejecting irrelevant circumstances with effort. Is it too big to want to be an iconic DJ? See, there we go. After all that, they still ask, is it too big to desire what I want? Is that why I keep falling off the end? Look at your entire thing and get to the end of what you said and say, is it too big? No. No. Nothing in the universe is too big because the whole thing fits in your own awareness. And it is a fraction of what you actually are. Imagine the entire universe right now in your awareness. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong, it's just knowing that this entire universe is right here and right now. Every version of it right here and right now. It's not too big. I'm willingly choosing from a blank slate who I am. I don't care what happens, what I'm thinking, where I'm going, who I'm seeing, what I'm doing, what I'm feeling, what I'm saying, none of it. I am right here, right now, in the absolute decision that this is who I am. And you're walking in that assumption. Not walking in the assumption, I think something comes up and you've got to push it away because it's irrelevant. If something was irrelevant, you wouldn't be bothering pushing it away. That's the paradox of something being irrelevant. You do nothing with it. Even not doing something with it is doing something with it. Now, just going ahead here, and you can see all of this stuff. It's basically how I reply to it. It's basically what I've said about no ego and all of that. And there's a second question, which is and I left this one in with this because I think it shows what your consciousness actually is doing. Because sometimes you don't really understand that. Anyways, this time I'd like to ask something. This is a different person, different creator. I'd like to ask something from a rather human linear perspective. We're having a rather linear experiencing human perspective. That's exactly what we're doing. We're here having a linear human perspective. We try to not be human so much so we can get what we want in a human way. When a parent dies, I'm familiar, can we telepathically connect with their souls? I know telepathy isn't about some kind of energy traveling somewhere, but is something like this possible? I suppose it is, since that person is part of my consciousness within my world, right? Now, if you know that person is within your world, how are you sending them a message if they are separate from you? If you believe they're separate from you. So they can't be, all right? And that's really where I want to go with this. Because the world is playing out seemingly, but it's actually still from our higher self point of view, and not just the physical world that we are seeing. Every variation of the physical world, of any expression, of any image you can think of, is a still image of that same higher self being it. So higher self, your true self, your infiniteness, is spread out in a infinite non-local knowing. So not spread out, but it's spread out in knowing as infinite ideas of itself. One of those ideas, in fullness, in infinite versions of it, is you and another person having a conversation. You and a loved one having a conversation. You having this person in your life as a loved one, having infinite variations of conversations, whether or not they are physically present in that image or not. Because the physical form in an image does not mean they're not, the essence of them in the image is not there. the lack of a physical form. So that means every conversation has already happened. Every word ever being said has already happened. Our characters, our human forms, as we tend to call it, only exist in the space in that way. But they don't have to exist in the space in that way. They can just be essence of knowing, because that's all it is anyway. Our higher dimensionally self-existing selves as well exists in whatever form we can imagine it taking, because the imagination is reality, not what you imagine. Imagination is reality. The entire thing is all of reality, and you, as that imagination, when you consciously choose to focus on something, you are filtering out everything imagination can be, and it starts to be it. So you can see it, so you can perceive it, so you can experience it. So it starts to unfold into your physical reality right then and there. Without the stillness moving, as in our experiencing, which is stillness moving, our consciousness that moves, right? Our consciousness is the only thing that's rearranging itself, giving the illusion of movement, creating the illusion of action. Can you see where I'm actually going with this? When you imagine speaking to a parent, even now, living past, present, or future, as I am, you are the one animating the everlasting version of them and yourself as consciousness, experiencing the literal right then and there version of them. Therefore, right now, if you were to imagine having a conversation with whomever, that is a real experience of reality happening right there and right then. You've tapped into the eternal now from a blank slate and experiencing a version of you and a version of them that is just now the enacted potential of that reality experience. And they will only ever reflect you. Any kind of essence of any kind of consciousness can literally only reflect you in your reality. It's all it's ever going to do. There's nothing separate from you as if it is a separate entity. It can only reflect you. Your parents have only ever reflected you. Whether they're here or not, they can only reflect your conscious state of being. And that version of them that reflects you infinitely just exists. So how do you choose that reflection to be? And this leads on to telepathy. And I came up with a little bit of a cute idea here. If you were to imagine that yourself thinking about an apple and you're trying to send that image of the apple to the other person, what you typically end up thinking is that the thought of the apple happens, and then the sending of the thought of the apple gets to the other person, and then they think about the apple, and this happens in some sort of three-dimensionally framed linear experience. And from one moment to the next moment to the third moment, the apple gets transferred to that other person. This is not how it is. Just like on the page, it exists as one image, so we can express it. Whether or not that image is like this or like that, it makes no difference. All the boundary did was make some sort of clarity for you to understand what is really happening. Is that you, as the observer, created an image and put yourself in the image so you can experience that image. But you don't need the image. The image is secondary. It was the idea that was primary. Consciousness is primary. Source is primary. The idea of it already existing is primary. This is just the secondary expression of the primary cause of wanting to do that, of wanting to be it, of wanting to know it. Because it's one thought, it's one happening, it's one expression, and you can remove all of it altogether and just have the thought. Because they automatically right now thinking about the apple. So you imagining a person thinking about apple. When you imagine a person thinking about apple, that's happening in reality. You're looking at the version of them thinking about an apple. You don't have to send the thought of apple to them, because what you're really doing is saying, in this now three-dimensionally physically focused moment, they exist somewhere. Can I send the thought apple to them where it comes back later? But that later is now. That later is now. It's an illusion that you sent the thought to them. All you did was tap into the end version of whatever it was you wanted to know, where the person is talking to you about an apple. I'm saying apple because somebody asked me about an apple on the channel last night, and I had this really long explanation about apples. It was quite funny. I'll get to it at some point. And this is how it is. You are the simultaneous being. So there's a version of you thinking about an apple. There's a version of you thinking about an apple trying to send it to somebody. There's a version of you and that person with an apple. I'm using apple, it doesn't really matter. And then when you highlight that idea, but me and said person are talking about an apple, that's your now physical reality. So yes, and the physical now moment, you are thinking about you and the other person was an apple. But you've highlighted being in the end where you and the other person are sharing an apple or whatever it might be. Because it's all blending in to your physical now moment from imagination, which is entirely the entirety of reality in one go. You are that imagination. You are that physical reality. You are that I am. You are that infinite potential. You are the apple. You are your physical self. You are that other person's physical self, but you are not the consciousness that is consciously experiencing themselves. They are actually their own points of consciousness, but as you go up in dimensions, it's all one consciousness, but it's split up into individualized, focused knowings of individualized, focused viewpoints of itself. Because if you think about infinity, infinity has enough infiniteness to segment itself infinitely over and over again as infinite points of view for you to have with every other infinite point of view. And that's what that is. But it's all one point of view as one I am awareness, having the same consciousness for everything, but consciously experiencing everything as a different version of that same consciousness. Whew. Just like in the picture, God made a picture, and he made everybody in the picture, and he gave everybody their own sense of self. But ideally, each sense of self has the capacity and potential to know its sense of self is the one self, and they get to choose what sense of self they are having the sense of self as right now. No such thing as an ego. The ego is that physically focused point of now. It's not just physical, it's every point of awareness that you can be experiencing. So the I am, if you want to call physical reality that black box, the ego, where you experience thoughts, where you experience feelings, where you experience physical circumstances, where you experience ideas of wanting different things, where you experience the ideas of coming from different things. That's all happening there. That's the ego in the sense, but not really, because it's not a thing. It's not a thing on its own that exists. That box isn't conscious. That box is you as consciousness being the box. So you can experience all the other boxes, where that box is, here and now. Anyway, I am your host, Reese. This is Reality with Reese. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for the questions. Quite a few coming in several videos. Much love, much light, and thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for the TikTok following. Thank you for the Facebook following. Thank you for the emails as well. Much love, much light, and I will see you all in the next one.